Okay, let's dive straight into one of the world's most persistent and potentially explosive rivalries, the ongoing conflict between India and Pakistan.
It's a situation that's been simmering for, well, over 70 years now.
Exactly. And these are two nuclear-armed nations navigating this really fraught relationship. It's punctuated by actual wars and just constant underlying tension. So our goal today is really to understand the history behind it, the potential flashpoints, what could actually trigger something major.
And the global ramifications, because the conflict wouldn't just stay regional, would it?
Not at all. The potential impact is huge. So this is a relationship, as you said, defined by a really complex history.
And the nuclear element just elevates the stakes for everyone, for the entire world. It's crucial we look beyond just the day-to-day headlines.
Yeah, get into the deeper dynamics at play.
Precisely.
To really get a handle on the danger now, you absolutely have to look back at the history. I mean, the partition of British India in 1947, painful, violent, that's what created India and Pakistan.
A seismic event.
And since then, they've fought multiple declared wars. You had 47, 65, the 71 war, which was hugely consequential.
And the Kargil conflict in 99.
Right. So this isn't some new disagreement. It's etched really deep in their national stories.
And each of those wars, beyond the immediate tragedy, they solidify these distinct narratives on both sides. You get this cycle of distrust.
Which just keeps fueling the tensions today.
Exactly. And understanding how those events are remembered, often very differently, is key to understanding why things are still so difficult.
And the thing that makes it also, I guess, uniquely precarious now is that nuclear capability. Both sides have them.
It casts this long shadow over everything.
Yeah.
Every border incident, every political statement, it fundamentally changes the calculation.
Yeah, it really does.
Because while they're seen as a deterrent, theoretically,
Mutually assured destruction, that idea.
kind of, but they also bring this constant risk. Miscalculation, unintended escalation. It's a really delicate, dangerous balance.
Okay, so our aim here is to dissect those core issues. What makes that balance so fragile?
And what the global shockwaves could look like if, it were to break down.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then. Let's unpack the roots of this rivalry. We mentioned 1947, the partition. That was just a cataclysmic event. It laid so much of the groundwork.
A period of unbelievable violence, displacement, and the very basis of the split, largely along religious lines, created immediate, lasting fault lines.
It really was a turning point, wasn't it? With consequences that are still playing out.
Absolutely. And beyond the human cost, it left fundamental issues unresolved. And the biggest one, the most persistent one, has to be Kashmir.
Kashmir. Yeah, you can't talk India-Pakistan without talking Kashmir. Both countries claim it.
They fought wars over it.
It's the central flashpoint again and again, but it's more than just territory, isn't it? It feels doubly symbolic.
Oh, incredibly symbolic. Tied up with national identity, sovereignty for both.
So what makes that specific dispute so intractable? Why hasn't it been resolved after all this time?
Well, part of it is that symbolic weight you mentioned. For both India and Pakistan, Kashmir is deeply woven into their national story, their self-image.
Right.
But you also have to layer on other things. Intense national pride on both sides, these historical narratives that often clash dramatically.
The stories they tell themselves about their own history and the other sides.
Exactly. Then there are religious differences, which have often been, shall we say, politicized over the years. And just the very way national identity itself was constructed after partition. These aren't separate issues. They all interact. They amplify each other.
Okay, so we have this long, incredibly complex history, violent conflicts, deep-seated issues of identity, territory. Now, let's think about a frightening prospect. How might a new war actually start? What's a realistic scenario?
Well, sadly, there are several plausible paths. A major terrorist attack is often cited as a key potential trigger. Something sudden, devastating, causing significant casualties on one side, originating from the other.
That's a chilling thought. We've seen attacks like that before, and the immediate aftermath is always electric. Intense tension, demands for revenge.
Right, and that can ignite public anger very quickly, putting enormous pressure on the government that's been attacked to respond forcefully.
You can almost picture it. The 24/7 news cycle amplifying everything, nationalist feelings running high.
Politicians making strong, uncompromising statements.
Yeah.
It's that volatile mix the event, the media frenzy, the political rhetoric that can create this dangerous momentum. It becomes very hard to control.
So what would we see then, militarily?
You might see visible mobilizations, Troops moving towards the border, maybe air assets being deployed more visibly, public statements about missile readiness.
Intended as signals, maybe? Deterrence?
Intended as signals, yes. But they can easily be misread by the other side as preparations for an actual attack, which then prompts them to react.
Leading to a counter-mobilization. It sounds like that classic security dilemma. Each step taken for defense makes the other side feel less secure.
Precisely. Both sides end up feeling more threatened, raising the stakes further.
And it's a stark reminder, isn't it, that big wars don't always start with some grand strategic plan.
Not at all. Sometimes it's chaos. A sudden event, maybe even an accident. Like a pilot straying across the border, which has happened.
Right. And through misinterpretation, miscalculation, that small incident could ignite something huge.
That risk of unintended escalation is always there, especially when there's such deep mistrust and, frankly, hair trigger alert levels.
And we keep coming back to it, but you have to. The nuclear dimension.
It permeates everything. That single factor makes even seemingly minor incidents incredibly risky.
It really is the ultimate high-stakes game. So if the unthinkable happened, if a full-scale war did erupt, the consequences we know would go far beyond their borders. Let's explore that. What kind of global impact are we talking about?
Economically, it would be massive. You'd almost certainly see immediate sharp spikes in world oil prices. Think about the shipping lanes in that region.
Crucial shipping lanes, okay.
Global financial markets would likely tumble. Investors hate that kind of geopolitical risk and uncertainty.
So market crashes, potentially. What about supply chains?
Huge disruptions. We've seen how fragile they can be anyway. This would add immense strain.
And that's just the economics, the human cost. That could be global too, couldn't it? A massive humanitarian crisis.
Absolutely massive. A large-scale conflict means widespread destruction, huge numbers of casualties, inevitably.
And refugees.
You could be looking at millions of people displaced, trying to find safety in neighboring countries. Imagine the pressure that puts on those countries, the potential for wider instability. The scale of suffering would be just immense.
And the big global players, China, the US, Russia, they couldn't just stand by, could they? They all have interests there?
We have significant strategic interests, yes. And complex relationships with both India and Pakistan. It's a delicate balancing act for them, even in peacetime.
So how would they likely react in a war scenario?
Well, initially, you'd expect intense diplomatic pressure. Everyone trying to de-escalate.
Yeah. But if that failed?
Depending on how long it lasted, how it was fought. Especially if, God forbid, nuclear use seemed possible. They might feel forced to take stronger positions. Diplomatic isolation, maybe economic sanctions.
So could it even go beyond that? Military posturing?
In a worst-case scenario, you can't rule out military posturing or maybe even limited intervention, though that carries enormous risks too. The point is, a regional war there could very quickly become a global crisis involving multiple major powers with competing agendas.
It's a truly sobering picture, but okay, amidst all this potential for disaster, are there things that actually prevent it? Are there guardrails in place that stop things boiling over even when tensions are sky high?
Yes, thankfully. Despite the animosity, there are mechanisms. Diplomacy is crucial, even the quiet kind.
You mean like back-channel talks, things we don't necessarily see?
Exactly. Back-channel communications, confidential meetings between officials. These often continue even when the public rhetoric is really heated. And those less visible lines of communication can be absolutely critical for diffusing dangerous situations before they spiral completely.
That's somewhat reassuring to know they exist. And then, obviously, the big one, the nuclear weapons themselves.
Yes. While they represent this unimaginable danger, the fact that both sides have them creates a powerful disincentive.
Right. The idea that any large-scale attack would invite devastating retaliation.
It acts as a grim but significant check. It means, theoretically, that an all-out nuclear war would be so catastrophic for both sides that it becomes, unthinkable as a deliberate policy choice.
It forces a certain caution.
It should. It forces caution, even when hostility is intense. But, and this is the crucial but,
it doesn't eliminate the risk entirely.
No. It doesn't eliminate the risk of smaller conflicts escalating or the danger of that miscalculation we talked about leading to unintended nuclear use.
And as you pointed out earlier, the danger persists because you have these deep historical grievances.
Right. And powerful emotions, anger, fear that can be whipped up so easily.
And the possibility that rational thinking just gets overwhelmed in a crisis.
That's always the fear. That reason gets swept aside. So even with deterrence and diplomacy, the risk of war, it never really goes away entirely.
It's the difficult truth, isn't it? The underlying issues are so deep, so resilient, and the potential for a sudden crisis or just a bad judgment call to break through those safeguards is always there.
It demands constant vigilance, a real commitment to de-escalation from everyone involved, and, maybe most importantly, a willingness on both sides to somehow find pathways to peaceful coexistence, however hard that seems.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into what is just an incredibly delicate, dangerous relationship between India and Pakistan, one thing seems overwhelmingly clear.
What's that?
The absolute paramount importance of peace. Just achieving it, maintaining it, regardless of national feelings or history. The consequences of a major war are just too catastrophic to really grasp.
You're right. At the end of the day, the real enemy here isn't the country across the border.
It's war itself.
It's war itself, the destruction, the suffering. Finding a sustainable path to peace isn't just vital for the region, it's a global imperative. It affects us all.
Absolutely. And on that very important point, we'll leave you, the listener, with this thought. Given everything we've discussed, the deep historical roots, the almost unimaginable consequences, what do you think are the most crucial elements needed? What does it take to build a truly lasting, stable peace in that critical part of the world?
It's a huge question, no easy answer.
No easy answers at all, but definitely one worth thinking about.